Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Missouri City, Sugarland, where we meet here every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. at Congregation Bethel for a Musar class, and we learn how to hopefully become the best human beings we can possibly be or become. So we'd like to share a little thought of Torah with all of our dear friends on Facebook and YouTube, and hopefully we'll be able to learn and be inspired not only here in this room but also across the interwebs through to people's computers and phones all over the world, and hopefully they'll share it with their friends, and then we can expand Torah from Houston, Texas, from Sugarland and Missouri City all the way to the entire world. That would be fantastic. So if you're watching this video from any place other than Houston, or even if you are in Houston, just please post your regards so that we know that indeed our sharing of Torah here in our class is going to other places. So Camden, I expect to see where you were this week when you watch it. So we are in the month prior to Pesach, and as promised, we're going to focus a little bit of our Parsha minutes on the discussion, preparing us at least emotionally and hopefully inspirationally for Pesach. So it's a very interesting law that we have for Pesach. That is, Al, it's good to see you. And that law is for Pesach is that we don't eat CHAMETZ. What is CHAMETZ? CHAMETZ is any of the 5 different grains that have water mixed into it, and that after that, what happens is that any of these that you mix with them yeast, right, and it becomes puffier. That's what yeast does. It inflates everything, right? So basically, the matzah that we eat needs to be from the water touching the dough or the flour, which makes it dough, till it gets out of the oven in less than 18 minutes. And anything that is more than 18 minutes, like your pastry, which is significantly more, or your challah, or any of the other pastries or cakes of their kind, are considered chametz. Now, our sages tell us is that we should remove all chametz from our home. And the question is, what is the big deal about chametz that we wanted out of our homes for Pesach? My wife and I have been already preparing our house for Pesach. It's our first year doing Pesach here in Houston, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of preparation. We already have one closet which is designated just for Pesach food. So we don't want the kids going in there with their chametz hands eating cookies and just going in there and touching something, and then you get, so it's completely locked off. And that's what many people do. They clean out their homes. They clean out, behind under the rugs, which we do on a regular basis, but you do it even more before Pesach to make sure there's no crumbs and there's no nothing. You clean behind the couch. It's like, that's where I think, by the way, the term of spring cleaning came from. I think it came because the Jewish people were all cleaning out their homes before Pesach. And why would people pick such a time, spring, to start doing cleaning? Because that's when Pesach is. So it's not a coincidence. It has to be that that's where it came from. But either way, what's the Musar thought behind why we get rid of the chametz? So it says that the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is like the Sa'or Shaba'isa. It's like the yeast that is in the dough. What is the yeast in the dough? The yeast, we said, inflates. It exaggerates it. It takes something which is so humble and inflates it and makes it so arrogant. And our sages tell us, Pesach is 7 days where we recognize who we really are. We recognize what we really should be. We don't eat food of arrogance, so to speak. During the year, we have it the whole year, we eat it, right? We can enjoy it, great. But on Pesach, these 7 days of Pesach, it's a mitzvah for us to remove all of that from our home. We don't have any of that haughtiness or that arrogance in the foods that we eat, and hopefully it will influence us that in the way we act, in the way we approach life, in the way we see ourselves, we also live without that arrogance. I think it's a very, very important lesson that we should be immersing ourselves in the thought that we're cleaning ourselves out of all of our arrogance. In the coming days, we're going to share other thoughts on Pesach, including why we search the house for CHAMETZ the day before Pesach. So, right, and that we also, we'll see why it's so important to do that search and how we do that search properly, and why we do it specifically at night. But when we're talking about what we eat on Pesach, we eat food that brings us back to reality. We all need a reality check-in. And that's what we do on Pesach. Pesach is a check-in for what is really important in life. Why are we really here? What is the purpose of our existence as Jews? What is the purpose of our Torah that we received as a result of our exodus from Egypt? It was all a build-up for what? To receive the Torah. For what reason? For what purpose? Is to have a relationship with God. How can we have a relationship with God if we're arrogant? How can we have a relationship with God if we think that everything comes from us? It makes our relationship so much more difficult. So, with that, my friends, let's think about this before we get into Pesach so we come prepared. Pesach is a time to let go of our, lofty status as inflated people and get back to reality, to the matzah, to the thin, simple matzah. And remember, Avadim hayinu lefaro b'Mitzrayim. We were all slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. And why did God take us out? God took us out so that we can serve Him. So we can serve Him and not serve another master. And that's the bottom line. And not getting carried away, not with our wealth, and not with our success, and not with our career, not with our other hobbies, and other, those are wonderful things. But that's not why we're here. Hashem should bless us all, that we should have an uplifting and meaningful and spiritual Pesach. All right? And as the blessing that we wish one another before Pesach, it should be a chag, kasher, v'sameach. It should be a holiday which is kosher and happy and filled with happiness. Right? Kosher in the sense that it's not easy to have a Pesach which is just... actually, I don't want to say that it's not easy. It's sometimes a little bit burdensome for a person to clean out the entire home, and it seems daunting. It's not so daunting. It's something we can accomplish, something we can really, really succeed. We just need a little bit of preparation, and that's what we're doing here tonight. So to all of our friends on Facebook, thank you very much for joining us. We are now going to sign off and continue our regular class here, where we study the teachings of Ramchal, the Path of the Just, otherwise known by Art Scroll as the Way of the Upright. And we're going to sign off here. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing.